Welcome to a new episode of Connected Data Unchained. Today, we have the pleasure of having Yin, one of our star account execs, as a guest on today's episode. Can you please do a quick intro from your end?
Sure. Thank you, Hamid. Hi, everyone. My name is Yan. I'm an account executive at TigerGraph. It will be my 3-year anniversary this Friday, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm located in the Bay Area, near our headquarters in Redwood City, California. I'm here because there's no limit to my potential. I love solving real-world problems, and I'm really excited to see our graph and AI initiatives change the world even further.
Awesome. Awesome.
Hamid, given your new role as CEO of TigerGraph, I wanted to switch roles and have you be our special guest. I'll start with this question. What is your vision of TigerGraph in 2024?
That's actually a really good question. First of all, thank you, Yan. 2024 is going to be a pivotal year for TigerGraph. In terms of thinking about what would be our priorities, whether it's our focus in terms of product or in terms of how we grow, it's going to center all around customer obsession. At the end of the day, we're here to make sure we're able to solve customer problems. Another key priority for us is going to be our differentiating feature around how we integrate in terms of generative AI and how RAG operations, which is all about retrieval augmented generation, is better served when it's running on top of knowledge graphs. That's another key differentiation. And the final one, which goes back to customer obsession, is that we're leading first with solutions that solves actual customer problems that are now powered by AI, which is what we're calling TigerGraph Copilot. So in terms of our vision for 2024, it's all about connected data and how we're leveraging graph technologies, graph analytics, and AI to deliver solutions. That's why our mission is about enabling AI-powered solutions using knowledge graphs, but we're still focusing on our key areas where we excel, given our customers that we have been working with for the past 4 to 7 years. So if you think about our focus areas, it's all about solutions that are uncovering financial crime, where we are able to leverage graph technology to uncover hidden networks, for example. It's all about delivering solutions for digital twins, such as supply chain digital twin or DevOps digital twin, allowing the users to make much faster decisions to optimize their supply chain or the way they configure their data center. And it's all about delivering greater value to their customers by truly understanding the customers, the transactions that they are having, and what kind of recommendation system we could have in place in terms of upsell and cross-sell. Now, the key aspect here is that we are uniquely positioned to deliver on those solutions because, again, of our underlying technology, which is this graph database that is able to scale to hundreds of terabytes and be able to process data that is both structured and unstructured in real time and deliver those values to our customers through the solutions that are built on top of it. So when we think about our company proposition, it's all about, again, those solution layers that I talked about earlier, which is the financial crime, the agile operations, and the connected customer, sitting on top of a very complex yet made simple analytical engine that is integrated with machine learning models and large language models, as well as the ability to bring in data from a variety of sources. And that's kind of our key differentiation.
And that's amazing. When we talk about AI-powered solutions using knowledge graphs, what problems are you tackling?
So if you think about the industry that we're focused on, we start with banking. The banking sector is one of our early adopters because of the financial crime solution that is needed there. Insurance is a quick adjacency to that sector because, again, if you think about insurance companies, they pretty much have similar problems to the financial sector. Another one which plays on the digital twin side is the retail and digital media, whereby, as well as supply chain and manufacturing, whereby there is a need to basically build a digital twin of that setup to be able to make product recommendations, to be able to build a knowledge graph and be able to answer questions about the data that's contained. And then the last sector that we are also focused on is healthcare, because it lends itself really well to needing a knowledge graph with a large data set that comes from a variety of data sources that is well connected together. If I was to dive a little bit deeper into the financial sector, it's all about financial crime. So to give you an example, credit card fraud is actually a huge problem in that sector. In 2024, it's projected to be costing around $40 billion. That's a staggering number. And about 10% of US households have been through one or another type of identity theft that is basically compromising their financial situation, their credit cards, for example. Now, how do we plug into those environments is actually very seamless. Typically, when we approach a customer in the financial sector, they already have an established solution that is based on machine learning that collects a set of features, runs a machine learning model, and then provide a score whether or not a transaction or an application is potentially fraudulent. What we do is we inject ourselves and the graph representation as part of that flow, whereby we're able to leverage our own models, our graph algorithms that I will talk about shortly, such as, for example, page rank or centrality and so forth, to be able to extract additional features that will make it that much more precise in terms of the responses, whether or not a specific transaction or application is fraudulent. Obviously, the interface to this solution or this enhanced solution could be much more usable, much more efficient because of the way the data is laid out in the graph, thus allowing investigators to quickly find whether or not an actual transaction is fraudulent or an actual application is marked as fraudulent is actually fraudulent. And the other part of it is, like I said, our Copilot integration that will provide yet another layer on top of it. Now, why us? Why Graph Database? It's because we have built those solutions, like I said, for the top banks worldwide. In addition to leveraging the Graph engine and all of the algorithms that comes with it, and our rich language that is able to express very complex rules with ease to be able to generate those features. At the same time, like I said, we have this scalable engine that is able to manage hundreds of terabytes of data. So be able to expand as your data set expands with time, basically. And then let's not forget the fact that we do have this Copilot that is able to provide you with yet another rich interface and be able to extract insights that may not be easily or readily available through your classical applications around fraud investigations and so forth. Again, to think about the financial sector. Now, just lastly, I'd like to mention that we have these solution verticals, as I hinted earlier. So when you think about financial crime, it's all about application and transaction fraud, for example, the Know Your Customer solution, being able to detect fraudsters or mule accounts. Now, that's great for the financial crime vertical, but there's also an adjacency which is related to agile operation. Even though it could be targeted for supply chain, it still applies to the financial sector because, again, pretty much most of the banks that we deal with also use our solution to create a digital twin to manage their data center or their deployments of services and software across that data center. And then if you think about recommendations, if you take an example of a bank that has a credit card solution or offering, obviously, they'd like to provide even richer experiences for their customers, whether it's about product recommendations, service recommendations, but even within the bank itself. As an example, you could be making recommendations about other investment products or other banking services that otherwise may be hard to detect. And that's all enabled because of the way we look at a customer 360 view and be able to connect customers to their prior history or similar customers and what other products they are interested in. So all of this is part of our solution suite.
Awesome. So what is your vision for Copilot AI and how will it affect the TigerGraph solution strategy?
It's a really good question. As I started saying today, Copilot is basically one of our key initiatives in 2024. So the idea here is that we're going to be providing an integrated solution that bundles our algorithms, our machine learning, our graph neural nets, as well as the LM integration. Now, we're calling it responsible AI because of the fact that it's able to provide you with far more accurate, far more reliable responses that abides by access control limitations. And that's the responsible AI aspect of it. And then also, as part of this solution, we're also making available a set of vector operations, such as the ability to generate embeddings, to be able to index them, search on them, and deliver that as part of the context that is fed into the LLM. If I was to dive a little bit deeper, Copilot is pretty much, if you peer under the hood, is made up of three distinct components. There's what we call the support AI, which is all about ingesting unstructured data as well as structured data from a variety of sources, combining them together, and even being able to extract a set of concepts and a concepts hierarchy. And the reason this is important is you'll see later when we talk about how we do the RAG operation, basically. Inquiry AI is another aspect of our Copilot. It allows you to imagine, if you will, you have a solution that is delivered by us or by one of our partners, like Nice Actimize. If you turn on Copilot, it will be able to understand that solution schema, the solution built-in set of queries, and then when a user provides a question, which is called a prompt, we'll be able to detect the intent, map it to an existing query or an existing graph algorithm, and then be able to serve up the response, still abiding by the role-based access control restrictions in terms of what data you're able to see, thus opening up a whole new way of interacting with that solution that is more natural to how humans would talk, like to a chatbot, for example. And then the last part of our Copilot is what's called the query AI. The idea behind it is all about the ability to generate code, generate schema, maybe even generate dashboards. So it's really intended for the data scientist and the developer, while the other two are really intended for the call center, the business user, and so forth. Now, all of this sits on top of this very powerful, tightly integrated graph database engine that has those vector extensions that leverage all of these algorithms and machine learning models, as well as being able to reach into our own large language model hosted in our own environment, or to an external one, such as basically OpenAI, or even whatever is provided by the hosting platform like Azure, AWS, and GCP. Now, in terms of the RAG operation, I told you I'm going to come back to this point. It's basically the reason we're different. I'm sure you've seen a similar diagram to this from many other companies that offer a kind of the chatbot ability to do a RAG in order to serve up responses. The reason it's different when it comes to TigerGraph Copilot is that not only are we able to leverage the vector query in terms of what content may be relevant to be able to serve up a response, which is called the context, we're able to also, as we ingest unstructured data, to create a concepts hierarchy, and thus refine the list of possible knowledge elements that are used as part of that context so that they are very precise. Then they're fed into the LLM. You'll be able to get a far more accurate response, but the power also comes in the fact that once the response is served, there will be backlinks to the graph itself, which means you'll be able to verify and validate the answers that are returned back to you by understanding where does this answer come from in the knowledge graph, and what are some of the adjacent one-hop or multi-hop data elements that could be contributing to that answer. That makes the solution far more powerful than what you would see out there. And that's why RAG plus knowledge graph is so powerful. To give you some ideas, if this was, for example, going back to our financial crime solution, you could be wanting to ask a question like, identify the key indicators for a recent increase in application fraud. That's basically an ability to ask a question about a trend, or another way of asking questions via prompt is to ask about specific cases or why this case is suspected to be fraudulent and so forth. If you are a data scientist or a data developer, you're even able to ask questions about the graph algorithms themselves or the features that are used, which makes our Copilot very powerful because not only does it provide you with a knowledge graph understanding of the underlying data, whether it's structured or unstructured, but also the decisions behind it, as well as being able to react to trends, changes in data, basically.
This is certainly an impressive vision that I know all my enterprise and commercial clients would be delighted to use. I'm curious, though, why TigerGraph? What makes our approach unique?
But actually, it's a really good question. Well, to begin with, I feel one of our key strengths, key advantages is actually the people. Like I told you, we've been doing this in terms of, TigerGraph came out of stealth in 2017, but it was established way back in 2012 as an idea in the early founders. But since 2017, we've been working very closely with many customers. So our people have been building solutions for these top banks worldwide, top supply chain customers, top retailers, top healthcare companies for many years now. So the expertise that they have built is so valuable to allow us to build really well-articulated, well-founded solutions to solve the specific problems that our customers have. Now, in addition to this, like I told you earlier, TigerGraph has built a graph database from the ground up to be enterprise ready, whether it is the transaction speed, whether it's our ability to have elastic scaling, to very large clusters supporting hundreds of terabytes, whether it's our ability to have a mixed workload where it's a combination of real-time analytics or batch analytics coupled with transactional operations. So it's one of those unique engines that's able to do both mixed, workloads together. And then if you think about it, as part of our cloud native initiative, we're even looking at how we could reduce cost, where it's all about consumption based. So if you think about it, there are multiple different aspects from enterprise readiness to cost to ability to deliver precise solutions and answers to questions because of the way we built the engine from the ground up. Obviously, there are, as I said, a multitude of graph algorithms that have been built over the years. I know some of the books that I've read date back 30 years ago in terms of some of those algorithms, but these algorithms are so different than what you're used to in relational or key value stores because they're able to easily detect things like dependencies or clusters, such as the ability to detect communities, the way you think about weakly connected component versus strongly connected components, missing links. So there are a lot of, or page rank in terms of what are the key influencers in a community. So there are a lot of algorithms that would be able to provide you with additional capabilities, additional features that otherwise would be very difficult to get at from a relational store. And that's why the power lies not only in the enterprise engine, but also in the fact that we have a lot of these graph capabilities built into it. Now, as I said earlier, as part of 2024, not only are we still deploying a VM-based deployment in terms of our ability to scale, but also we're moving more and more towards kind of cloud-native solution where there is a control plane and a data plane. The data plane has a separation of storage and compute. That would allow you to not only have a consumption-based model, but also the ability to scale your compute separate from your storage and be able to start multiple compute clusters against the same storage, thus being able to experiment with data, maybe run batch operations separate from transactional operations, which is a really powerful capability that is coming as part of our 2024 offering. Now, if I was to do a full circle back to Copilot, like I said earlier, every solution that we built now has the ability to turn on Copilot, and all of a sudden you'll be able to do content search, you'll be able to ask questions of the data, you'll be able to make recommendations, and you'll be able to do summarizations. Another interesting capability, especially when it comes to digital twins, is the ability to ask what if type of scenarios, or even be able to detect anomalies. All of this is part of our Copilot offering.
That is amazing, Hamid. What is next? How do you see this vision evolving?
That's actually a really good question. I mean, I certainly have shared with you a lot of really interesting and powerful features in terms of our solution focus, which we call solution kits in these various verticals. We talked about Copilot, we talked about our cloud native initiative, as well as the ability to scale. But if you think about what's next for us, some of the key aspects, or I should say key deliverables on our longer term product roadmap is all about, again, based on what customers have been asking us, include the ability to build custom solutions. So think about kind of a rapid solution development environment, an IDE that would allow you to plug and play and just drop components and be able to assemble solutions. Certainly we have the making of this already as part of our Insight solution, but think about taking it to that next level of being able to build really complex solutions with complete workflows. Another key investment for us is a solution marketplace. We're working certainly with many partners to deliver solutions that are powered by TigerGraph. So we envision the ability to allow our customers to choose solutions from that marketplace. And finally, circling back to Copilot, another key aspect that I want to make sure I highlight is that although if you think about the current offerings of AI out there, it's all prompt driven, whereby a user would ask a question and then would be able to extract insight and democratizing that insight. If you think about a longer term solution, we need to be more proactive as opposed to reactive. Think about our ability or our AI's ability to detect anomalies automatically or react to changes in the data via change data capture alerts, or even use algorithms to think about what else it should do. And that's how it can then be able to recommend different views. Think about the situation where it's say, I'm detecting a high number of cases, fraudulent cases in the New York area centered around this couple of banks. So it's basically gearing you to think about dive into a specific area based on the anomalies that it detects. It could also raise alerts that then require human intervention later or recommend workflows. We call this thinking beyond the looking glass, beyond the beautiful dashboards or list views into insights that is proactive as opposed to reactive.
That's amazing. Well, I really enjoyed our exchange and look forward to hearing more about Graph and AI in future episodes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for being part of this episode. I certainly have enjoyed it as well. And like I said, I cannot convey how excited about all of the new features that are coming as part of 2024 and how we're focusing on customers first and foremost and what kind of solutions we are offering to solve their problems. Thank you again, Yan, for being a guest on our show today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.